So, um, well, I think I will just kick it off and see if she can join later on. We'll be talking about leadership today, leadership habits in particular. And um, the coincidence is that yesterday I also spoke with Liz in the Coach Me to Lead podcast, which is every Friday at 9 a.m. Central. And in this podcast, we talked about leadership in resilience. So, how to be a resilient leader. And Liz had a couple of great points here. First, I think um, because I work also with Coach.me and I use habits a lot in what I do. And we also have a program together with Gwen, and where we talk about leadership a lot. And what we see is that in general, leaders happen to be anywhere, everywhere. They can be managers, but also can be people who don't have an official managerial role and stand up as leaders in the process. Also, we see a lot of people who see themselves as leaders and have not joined a leadership program from the company, but they are really good leaders. And I think it's really wonderful if we help these people to stand up and become leaders for their team or their company. And what can we do to make sure that these leaders become the leaders that the company needs? Well, first of all, I think acknowledge them as a leader for the team. And if you have like a horizontal team, a leadership role can also change. Different people can be leaders in the same team, as long as you're very clear at which moment who is the actual leader of the team at that time. So, what are great habits? Well, Liz talked yesterday about a difficulty that she sees with leaders in companies, especially female leaders that she coaches a lot, is that they are having so much on their plate. They are taking so much ownership of all the tasks that is in a job, but also in their personal life, that they find it very difficult to have control of everything. And what she sees, for example, is that they lose attention to the trifecta of the important parts of life, which is sleep, exercise, and food, right? So if you are a good leader, if you want to become a good leader, if you are a leader now, and you have all these tasks on your plate for your team, from your manager, from all the people around you, it's really important that you build habits of the other parts around your work, right? For example, that you have enough sleep, because sleep is a key habit to make sure that you're able to be very balanced during the day, emotional balanced, respond in a good manner when people ask questions, when uncertain things happens, when something unexpected happens. So sleep is really important at the part. Also, exercise. When things get busy in the work, in the job, we tend to give the advantage to more work and work harder. And actually, what is more important is that you take time to slow down and, for example, exercise. Because when you sleep enough, and enough could be 7 hours, when you exercise, like at least walk, let's say, for example, 5,000 steps per day. And you could do that by, for example, going with people from your team when you have like a one-on-one meeting with people in your team, go together on a meeting by walking. And she was explaining that when she was doing these exercises with these calls with these people in the coaching sessions, when they were taking out to like a dog park or like a trail and take them out for a walk. That sounds like she's taking out a dog, but she was together with the client out for a walk. When they were in a different environment, you could see that they were relaxing right away. So walking outside really helps you to become more relaxed. And this will give you better ideas, become more creative when you're actually going back into the job. So then the last part, of course, you need the right food. You need to make sure that you drink enough. A lot of people, when they work so focused, they don't get enough um, fluids in them. So make sure that you have like water or tea right beside you. I have clients who also tend to not drink enough, and they have like a canister besides them on the desk, which have 2 liters in there, and they make sure by the end of the day the canister is empty for sure. So these are like small habits to make sure that you have the foundational parts to do a better job as a leader covered. So make sure you get enough sleep. You do that, of course, by going to bed on time, right? So in the evenings, we tend to relax by watching TV or a series or YouTube or Netflix or whatever is for you important. And it really doesn't contribute to your work or your life. Well, you could go to bed early and then you become an early riser as well. So, and early is whatever is important to you. To me, that's around 10 p.m., 10 p.m., obviously. And this makes me like automatically an early riser without setting the alarm. So that's a good habit, getting to bed on time. And by having like a good hygiene in the evening, for example, making sure that you shut down the screens, don't use your phone after, let's say, 9 o'clock in the evening. Don't watch screens after 9 o'clock in the row, but start reading a book. That's already helping your eyes to relax. It will reduce the blue light, which makes you sleep better, and it will help you set up the next day. So that's like a couple of things to make you basic actions, habits to make sure you become a better leader. Because if you do these things, you will be more more active during the day and more resilient, but also more attentive. You will be noticing things that you may not notice when you're tired or when you're not well rested or don't have enough energy. So she also talked about a wonderful habit, which she calls a keystone habit, of being grateful, of giving, of saying thank you to people. So if you have, like, for example, a habit of making sure that you every day at least say to one person that you are grateful for what they're doing, of what they did, a small action they did, um, that's a great habit to become a better leader, because it helps you to to be aware of what's going on in your team. It helps you to see if people are really doing things and what they are doing, noticing without correcting them, but just finding the nuggets in what they are doing, to making sure that you can say, oh, that was really great how you handled this or how you did this or what you did there, because it will just build a great team, but also it will make you see how good your team is and what you do. So I think if you use this habit, which Liz uses in her coaching, and it's just a wonderful habit of saying praise to people, because you are watching the people very closely and trying to catch them on things that they are doing right. Especially when they're doing things that confirms the culture of the company, what the company wants, the culture that of your company. The more you accentuate, the more you pay attention to the things they're doing, which is aligned, which is really in line with the culture of your company, that's really important to be clear for people, because every time when you say praise to that, when you say thank you for doing that, this is a really great opportunity that you use well. Thank you for how you handled this customer. Thank you for how saying no to this client, for example. These are really great habits. And this is a small thing that you could do if you'd say at least every day, one person, I will give a compliment. And the fun thing is, it will make your life better too. Every time when you say thank you to a person, it is great receiving the thank you. Oh my gosh, it is so much fun to give it. giving things like that to people makes your life so much better. So I think this is a really great keystone habit that Liz mentioned yesterday in our conversation that I love using. And I do another thing which is similar, because she also mentioned what is important today when we look at the resilient, the really changing world today, changing companies, changing positions, changing markets, the environment changing, ecology. There's a lot of things that's going on at the moment. And by working harder, you will not make a change. You will not make a difference. And this time really needs you to be able to slow down. So take a deep breath, slow down, and then look at the situation and see what you can do to make a difference, to see what you can do to help the situation. For me, this comes down to like stoicism kind of way. I like the stoic operating system for myself. And the most important part for me about stoicism is where we see where the stoicism says there's nothing that you can influence what's going on, only how you respond to things. So if you are making sure that the habits, for example, that I mentioned before, sleep, exercise, the right amount of food, fluids, for example, then you have also the energy and the motivation to slow down in difficult, extreme, urgent situations. So the thing is, when you do this, when you get a strange question from a customer, when a customer panics, when a manager panics, when the CEO has an urgent situation, like when you have to drop everything, or somebody in team has an urgent situation, take a moment, take a deep breath, and then look, okay, what's going on? What is the first thing I need to do? What's the first fire I need to put out? What fires can I let burn? And how will I continue? What's the next step? And sometimes you just need to decide, okay, this is a situation I cannot change. I have to do something else. I have to pass it on. I have to say no. I have to ask somebody else to step in. And I think that's just a great decision for a leader. A leader is not a person who has to do everything themselves. A leader is a person who's great at handing over difficult situations where other people are better than you to do this. So if you are emotionally balanced and sleep and exercise and having the time to step back is a way to be emotionally balanced. And this will give you the opportunity to hand over tasks that other people in your team are better to do. I say also another thing, what you could do as a leader, as a habits growing, is especially just building habits, right? A habit, 90% of the things that we do are unconscious. And a lot of medium writers that I know about this, they write a lot about this topic. But 90% of the things that we do are unconscious. We don't take deliberate decisions on the things that we do. We do them because it works like that. Every day we do the same thing and it just works. Like when you get up in the morning, you get a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. You don't even think about it. It just happens. So if you want to change the way that you live, if you want to change the way that you lead your team, you better build habits. Create great habits that will help you to improve yourself, improve your team, so that they become like the normal thing to do. And it's just a lot of work. It's a lot of practice. It's not going to happen overnight. And I was talking to another coach just in the Coach Me to Lead podcast, and she was saying, well, people say that it takes like 60 days, for example, or 30 days to build a habit. Yes, that's great, maybe true, but it lasts until you follow the wagon and you have to start all over again. So building a habit is a continuous type of work. It's never going to stop. So just keep working on the habits that help you to become attentive, to become aware, to become present. So exercise, walking, preferably outside in nature, get enough sleep, and making sure you get the right food. Then praise, for example, one person each day. That's already like great habits that you could use. I think if you could also, and this probably is one of my last tips. I'm not sure how we're doing in time. Are we doing okay? If you look at one of the most important things that a leader should be paying attention to these days, and not just specifically these days, but I think anytime, but a lot of managers and owners and founders and entrepreneurs are very focused on short term and maybe like a couple of months, like the next quarter. That's about it. So they're not like thinking long term. As a leader, it's really important to think, what is my role? What do I want to do? Where does the team want to be? Where does my company want to be? Where do my clients want to be in the long term? And the long term, you could think of as being a year, but I prefer to look beyond that. I prefer to see, what if you could look beyond your own life, for example? What if you could think for the next 7 generations? So if what you do today, how will this impact the next 7 generations? That's a great way of looking at what is really important, what you're doing today, and what looks important, or what is just urgent and not that important. So if you have the goals that you think about with your team, that you think about with your clients, or think about with your managers, and you look at the goals and you think, okay, so which of these goals are really important, are really contributing to the long term? And this will help you to, to paint a picture for yourself, but also for your team, to take them on the journey along with you, right? So your team, if they know what to do, if they are like are experts in the work, which I assume they are, then the one thing that they need is like not every day managing how they do the job and see how you can help them, but just paint them a picture of where are you going? Where is the bus driving? And then not just for this year, but for the longer term. So what is it that you want to accomplish? And especially if you have like goals that are beyond your company, that are looking for a better world for your customers, and not just looking for profit, but just looking for a better world for the future, for yourself in the future, but also for them in the future, for the next generations. I think this will really give your team the drive to go without you interfering every time, without you helping them every time. And I think that will make a difference. So that's a great habit to create for yourself, is slowing down. Look at the picture for the long term. So what is it that I want to accomplish? What is it we want to accomplish as a company, as a team? For whom? And what do we really need to do to get there? And if you have this picture for the long term, it just helps you to look back. And that's what I do. I use this picture for a long time, every time to make a decision. If like an opportunity comes by, does this align with the picture that I'm seeing in the long term? And I hear people talking about me that it looks so natural to me to make these decisions quickly, because the picture that I have about the long term is so ingrained into my system, is so really deep into my system, that I can really make this decision fast and quick, because I know, okay, will this contribute to what I'm looking for? Yes or no? And if you paint a picture for yourself and you say it every time to your team, every time when you have like a meeting, every time when you have a conversation, a one-on-one, you talk about what is the long-term picture? What do we want to accomplish? And I learned about this great tip where this person is sending like a weekly update to her team. The CEO, a female CEO, she's sending updates to her team. And it has like the vision, it has the values, but it also has the long-term goals. What is it that we want to accomplish? And sometimes it feels like that you've been talking about this a lot, and you think everybody knows about it because you've been talking so much about this. You think, I don't have to talk about it anymore. Well, no. It's great to build a habit about talking about the vision, about the long-term goals every time. Every time when you talk to the team, when you say a message, when you send out a message, explain where you're going, because new people will come along. New people will join the team and they don't know what's going on. They don't know where you're going. So every time repeat where you're going. Sometimes people even forget. You think everybody knows it, but they will forget. So keep painting that picture. And the more you will paint the picture, the easier it will become for your team to also make these same decisions. Thus, this is what I'm doing now when I'm looking in the midst of, all these things going on in our world. Does this contribute to what I'm going to, where we are going to as a team? And this is exactly what you want. You want your team to make their own decisions. I hear so many complaints from entrepreneurs, from founders, that they are making all the decisions. They are always, the people are coming to them in the teams, asking what they need to do, even on small things. And it has not to do with the team, even though you think it is, but it has to do everything with you. If you are not communicating often enough, well enough, clear enough, what your direction is, what is your vision, where are you going, people don't know how to decide. You know, because it's in your head, you've heard the music about this talk a lot, but the people around you don't. So make sure that every time you explain what's going on, which direction we go, where we're going, where we're heading, check if the decisions that they are making is in line with that. And if it is, a great time to make a compliment, right? Going back to that habit, making compliment at least to one person every day is a great habit. So I think hopefully I covered a bit. I'm sorry that this didn't work out for people who were expecting Liz Guthridge to do this. She had difficulties with accepting that Hopin was working for her with the audio and the video. Obviously didn't. Anyway, I tried to convey my knowledge that I have about leadership and about habits. I work a lot with habits. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs. And also use the conversation that I had yesterday with Liz and use her information that she shared yesterday. And I will also share the link to the episode on the Coach Me to Lead show so you can hear her as well, even though it's not in Medium Day today. So just to give you a short recap, right? So looking at habits for leaders. I think first of all, it is like making sure that you stay healthy and emotionally balanced, right? So make sure that you get enough sleep. This starts with going to bed on time. Make sure that you exercise enough, right? So make the steps preferably outside. You can do it with a team member. You can do calls outside. You can find pockets of time in your day to combine. So it doesn't, you don't do two things at the same time, but it's an easy combination that you can do. And then lastly, make sure that you have enough, the right food and enough fluids, because it's really important to make sure that your body is healthy. Then another habit that we talked about is make sure that you say praise to at least one person every day. It's an easy habit, right? So look at your team and find at least one person today that you can compliment. If you see more opportunities, of course, don't let them pass, but at least one. So that's the habit, just one, right? And then lastly, if you look at building a resilient team, becoming a resilient leader, creating healthy habits as a leader is looking for the long term, making sure that you have a clear picture about the long term and you paint it picture as often as possible to anybody who wants to listen to you. And so that people can make decisions based upon that vision. You can make decisions based upon the decision. Because if you have that picture, it gives you the opportunity to slow down at stressful moments, at urgent situations, at unexpected situations. Slow down. What is the long term goal? What do we want to accomplish? Look at the situation and make the decision. And if you are looking at decision making, it is even better if you have like 2 minutes at that moment, write down the decision. So what was the basis, the foundation of the decision? What did you decide and what do you think will happen after the decision? Because the outcome, may be different, but it will help you later on to review your decision-making process if you write it down. If you don't write it down, what will happen if you look back afterwards, let's say after 2 months, you look back at your decision, you will have painted a different picture in your head what happened at the moment you made the decision. So if you as a leader want to improve your decision-making habits, write down the important decision that aligns with your vision. Every time when you make a decision that's important for your team, for yourself, write it down, ask yourself a couple of questions. I have a template for that. And then see, like after 2-3 months, review your decision, but not the result of the decision, but the decision-making process. What was the process? How did I do this? How did I feel? What were the circumstances? What did I expect? So that you can improve your decision-making process, because you cannot influence the results. As I said before, if you feel like me, like a stoic kind of situation, you have no influence on what's happening outside you. Anything that's happening, the only thing that you have influence is how you respond. And if you review your decision-making process every time, you will improve your decision-making process and you'll become more stable. And I think that's important as a leader. So we're almost at the end of this session. Are there any questions? Do you have questions? And you can ask them in the question session. I think there's a Q&A section at the right sidebar. Just ask me your question. Share thoughts, ideas. Let me know. What do you think? Was it helpful? What habit did you like, for example? Anything. And if not, that's okay. That is okay. Yeah, it says in review. I don't see anything in review. Latest. And all questions. I have unanswered review questions. Okay, maybe here is something. Oh my gosh, here it is. I'm sorry. I have to get used to this one. Oh, shosh. Thank you all for replying. And I didn't see that. I'm gonna approve them all. So I like, yes, I like what files do you need to burn? Great. Oh, no, not remove. Approve. So you can see a lot of questions came in. I didn't see them. Dimitri from Düsseldorf, great. Raymond from Singapore, watching from Germany. Shruti, that's great. Thank you all for responding and interacting, even though I didn't see the questions at first. I'm sorry. Dia, I'm not sure if I don't have it right now. I don't have it now. Oh. Dia asked if we have like a PDF, a document that has all the tips handy. Not at the moment, but we can create something because this was a bit on the fly. It went a bit different than we expected. That's okay. Like I said, unexpected things happens, and this is the way how you respond and how you make the best of it. So if Dia, if you're still here, just send me an email address and I will send it to you. Hi Sam, thank you, my Sam, for being here. Maciel, thank you. Thank you, Dimitri. Well, I think we are at the half an hour is over. Communicating long-term goals is important, says Kathy. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna close the session because we are over time now. How do I close this? Leave, I guess. Leave you, I have to request again. How do I close this? It's not